let's kick this off. I'm Ryan Falkenrath, setthepacetriathlon.com. We're here to talk about 70.3 Oregon, and we're here to talk about how many feet of elevation gain are on the swim. If you read the comments, not really. Hate to break it to you, there is no elevation gain on swim. Hopefully, if so, you'd be swimming up waterfalls, and that'd be very complicated and very complex. But I digress. What we're going to do is we're going to jump in. I'm going to look at the course. Again, I was on yesterday. We talked about the athlete guide, and if you didn't find that helpful or useful or anything like that, I'm back talking about the swim. So I'm sorry about that. I apologize if you don't think it's good information. But hey, if you did, stay with me here. Let's talk about the swim course. So what I like to do is go to the website page specifically for the race, Ironman 70.3 Oregon. You can see that here in the background, and you can see me talking about that. So basically, just go there. I was looking up the athlete guide because, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about the wetsuit temperatures and all that kind of fun stuff. So swim. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's downriver swim. You always got to like the downriver swims. Point to point. So this is going to be important because in the athlete guide, if you've watched that video, if not, go back in the group. I posted on YouTube. If you watch the video, you have to walk from the finish area for the transition to the swim start. So it's about 1.2 miles. So just be ready. I had to walk about a mile for the start for Ironman Tulsa. It's really not that much of a problem, but I would seriously consider bringing shoes or something to wear to the swim start. More than likely, we had to do the same thing for 7.3 Des Moines. It wasn't as far, but more than likely they will not give you a morning gear bag. So whatever you wear to the start, whatever you take, has to be with you during the swim if you want it back. Or if you've got spectators coming with you, you can hand off shoes or something like that. What a lot of people did was you just bring flip-flops or something like that, or go buy some old water shoes or something if you don't want to mess with walking on pavement or something like that. It really wasn't that bad. But usually they'll have a pile that you can donate shoes and stuff. So really it's not that big of a deal. But that's going to be one of the important parts. So just be ready. Race morning, you're going to have to walk to the swim start. So 1.2 miles to walk over. But who doesn't love a nice downriver swim? So what I wanted to do is, basically, if you look at this, they put like a one buoy at the end turn. So basically you just like start down the river and really just swim the best. Be careful. I'm in Chattanooga, and the 70.3 is in the Tennessee River. It is very wide. So they put buoys in there to keep you on kind of the left side of the river. This one doesn't look as wide, so probably just pick the best line you can to go. You want the least amount of distance swam possible, so you don't want to be bouncing around shore to shore. So I would just say, kind of pick the middle distance and just kind of split the difference of the river and just kind of go. And if you find a nice spot with a good current, just make sure it doesn't push you into the shore on any section or anything like that. But basically, there's only one buoy at the end as for the turn to the swim finish. So if you've gone past that buoy, past the finish area, it's going to be a tough swim back. You definitely don't want to have to fight river current. If there's extreme river current or anything like that, you don't have to be messing with that. So just keep tabs on that. So basically, as far as the swim goes, point to point, it's really pretty straightforward, and especially in a body of water that's not as wide as normal other downriver swims have been in the past, like Chattanooga for Louisville and stuff like that. So really nothing too complicated or crazy. But we're all wondering is it going to be wetsuit legal? Now I pulled up USGS information on the Willamette River, and I'm sure I totally butchered that. So if you have it in the comments, there is some comments or some questions. This is going to be awesome. That's a yellow marker. Sadly, there is only one. Yes. So sadly, there is only one buoy. But anyway, and it's going to be awesome. I think so. Personally, I'm not going to do it. I wish I was. It's on my radar to go do it. Oh, we got Jesse Willamette. There you go. Willamette River. Thank you very much. So I just looked up USGS. Sometimes you can find a body of water on there. Sometimes you can't. So I kind of Googled a few different spots. So I got the information for the last couple of days. So if you look at your athlete guide, Wetsuit Rules, it's wetsuit legal. at 76.1 degrees or lower. In between 76.1 and 83.8, it's optional. So if you want to swim with a wetsuit and it's in that temperature range, it makes it optional. They'll start you at the back. More than likely, it's going to be a time trial start. So about every 5 seconds, they're going to have 3 to 4 athletes jump in the water, start to swim. So it's going to be self-seating, and I've done a video on the self-seating. I've done tips on that. I think I did that this week in the group. Just make sure you seed yourself correctly, because this river is probably going to be wall-to-wall swimmers, people everywhere. So if you try to put yourself in there as early as possible, you worry about the time cutoffs and stuff, you're going to get swam over, you're going to get hit, you're going to get kicked, you're going to get punched, and people are not going to be very friendly to you. So just seed yourself right. And if you wear a wetsuit and it's wetsuit optional, you'll be starting at the back of the group. So they'll have you jump in, and with a wetsuit wave, they'll be back towards the end. So just be aware of that. If you put a wetsuit on and you think you're just going to jump in with everybody else, they're going to hold you back and have you start with the wetsuit optional people. But if it gets above 83.8, then you cannot wear a wetsuit. So just be aware of that. I mean, looking at the data, it doesn't look like it's getting anywhere near, unless they have another, I think everybody had a heat wave there in June. It was just crazy. Off the hook. So hopefully that is past us, even though we are in July. So we're getting into the mix of the summer, especially on race day, July 25th. So we got a few weeks. So, it just depends on what time of day when they catch it. Because, just looking at this, it looks like it's going to be, oh man, so close to that wetsuit optional. So personally, if I was doing the race, I would bring my wetsuit, and I'd definitely bring a speed suit. I always use a speed suit. Got one off eBay for like $20. You don't have to pay $150 for a new one off the shelf. That way, if it doesn't exactly fit right, it's not that big of a loss. You throw it back on eBay, or just stuck in a drawer or something like that. In case, I like to use the ones that don't fit in the pool. If the pool's a little bit cold, like in my neighborhood, I like to use the pool in the summer. But anyway, I digress. I went too far. So wetsuits, bring them if you got them. I would say that because, if they catch it the right time of day, you can have a cooling spell. It could rain a few days before. It could put the water temperature below that 76.1. And I don't care who you are, a wetsuit is going to help you. It makes you more buoyant, makes you more streamlined. Just make sure you get one that fits right. Make sure that you're comfortable getting in it, comfortable getting out of it. It's not that big of a deal. I posted tons of videos on that stuff. So if you want to search my YouTube channel, you can always go on there, and I've got information on that too. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. There's really nothing crazy about this. When you're doing your sighting, you should be able to look up and see where you're going. And small catch might be if there's a little bit of a current pushing you into one shore or the other. You might have to battle that a little bit. And unfortunately, I don't think I saw here. Let's see if it takes me to flow and velocity. Get me on there. So most recent values, that's temperature, discharge per second. So CMF, CFM. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't look up that information too quickly. Gauge height. So just kind of looking at the past information, relying a little bit on my days of civil engineering, it doesn't look like the flow is like too crazy and is going up and down too much. So I'd imagine it's not too crazy. Trying to look at 2000. So it looks like there's a little bit of a current, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy like that. I do know, like Ironman Chattanooga, it's always a question mark because there's a dam upriver. So it just depends. They work with Ironman to make sure that they're not discharging too much water and getting it too fast. I did know in 2018 when I did Ironman Chattanooga, they had to cancel the swim because they just got too much rain, and then they couldn't restrict the flow from the dam upriver. So it was just too dangerous. The river was too high. But unless there's a crazy, I would go to weather.com, and that's a different conversation for a different day. Check the weather to see if rain's coming or something like that. So that might increase the flow or something like that. But so yeah, USGS. There's tons of information on there. So I kind of look up the current, just see if the flow rate's getting out of control or anything like that. So that's going to make a difference, if it kind of pushes you to one side or the other, or if you're feeling like you're having to wrestle with it or anything like that. I would definitely check out, like I said, USGS current conditions and stuff like that. So that's it in a nutshell. Really, there might be the other conversation. You wear tinted goggles, you wear clear goggles, something like this. When you're not making that many turns and you're not facing too many different directions, it may not matter as much. I always use tinted goggles just because even I've done Ironman Tulsa this year, 70.3 Des Moines, and they're both rainy and cloudy in the morning. And I had tinted goggles. I really didn't have a problem. So I just always bring tinted goggles just so I don't have to mess with it in case the sun pops up somewhere and there's a glare or something like that. It just helps you kind of see no matter what the conditions are. Really, like I said, the water temperature I think is the big thing. Just looking at that, I don't think it's going to be extremely warm, but it's probably going to be wetsuit optional. So if you want your wetsuit and you kind of depend on it, bring it. Bring a speed suit if it's not optional and you want to qualify for 70.3 Worlds, or you want your rankings, you want AWA, all world athlete status points and everything. Then you're gonna have to go with no wetsuit. You can do a speed suit, but if you're dependent upon that wetsuit, I think you'll get in there. That shouldn't be a problem. It's gonna be wetsuit optional for sure, depending on the day, depending on the weather, and a couple other things. It may be wetsuit legal. So cross your fingers. I bring both. I just bring everything and be ready for that. And like I said, I bring tinted goggles. Really, there's no sighting issues. You can kind of put your head down probably a little bit more than usual. Just make sure, like I said, it doesn't push you into it, like one of the shores or anything like that. So you don't have to fight the current as much. That was always a struggle when I did an Ironman Chattanooga, downriver swim. The current kind of pushes you into the shore, so you're constantly kind of having to readjust and kind of swim towards the middle of the river because you don't want to swim to shore because there's nothing really to swim to and get out of the water. You don't want to be stuck in weeds and trees and nature and stuff like that. You want to make sure you make it to the actual swim exit. So that's basically kind of what I'd recommend. Going and looking at Oregon 70.3 Oregon swim course. It's a river swim. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. It's pretty straightforward. Just remember, you're going to have to walk to the swim start. It's 1.2 miles. Maybe bring some disposable shoes, or if you got a Sherpa that you can wear your shoes to and give them your shoes, because more than likely they will not give you a morning gear bag. When I had to walk for Ironman Tulsa, they did, but that's a full Ironman, so it's a little bit different. But for 70.3 Des Moines, we did have a little bit of a hike to get to the swim start, and we did not get a morning gear bag. But it was on nice pavement. There wasn't rocks or anything to walk over, so it wasn't a big of a problem. So just be ready for that little walk in the morning to get to the swim start. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time when you get into transition. Give yourself that time to walk 1.2 miles because they're going to have you in transition. You're going to set everything up. They're going to start announcing there's pros. Okay, the pros go. And then, okay, people, do you think your swim time is going to be 30 minutes or less? Start walking over the swim start. So they're going to start walking you over, and it could get a little bit quick and stressful. Like we had weather delays at 70.3 Des Moines, and it got a little bit hectic. People were trying to slam their gear together, and people are already walking the swim start. And once you get to the swim start, there's a little bit of time. People are kind of shuffling around and seating themselves in the correct spot. So I wouldn't sweat it too much. But at the end, just make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to make that 1.2 mile walk. If you're one of those people that gets there right on the deadline, you're going to be stressed trying to get there, trying to get to the swim start and get all your stuff ready. So that's one thing I'm kind of about there. But one run through real quick, so hopefully I didn't lose anybody, didn't bore you to death too much. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I saw there's just a few comments and some help on the river name. If you have any other questions, you want to pick my brain, put them in the comments. I'll repost this on YouTube, and I'm going to post it to the Facebook event that I've done for the group. If you have any questions, let me know. Happy training out there, and good luck on race day.